Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Hong Kong Horror. I'm your narrator Simon. Tonight's episode is another pretty heavy one, related to a deep concept in Cantonese culture called 錢世冤業. If you wronged someone badly in the past life, cheated them, betrayed them, or caused their death, that debt can carry over into the next life. Are any of you familiar with this concept? If not, hopefully you will be more knowledgeable about this after this episode. Alright, so do any of you drive in a major city? Parking is always a nightmare if you don't have a parking spot. But what if I told you, sometimes having a parking spot, especially in one of those old underground parking garages, can lead to a different type of nightmare. If you've had to walk through one of these parking garages alone at night, then you probably know how unsettling it could be. This first story is from a man from Seongsui. It happened over 10 years ago in the parking garage of a private housing estate. But it's something he will never forget for the rest of his life. Let's call him Tony. Tony, at the time, worked as an IT manager. Some nights, he would have to work overtime, sometimes clocking out around 11:30 p.m., reaching his home parking lot after midnight. The parking garage he parked in was old and poorly maintained. The lighting was dim, the air smelled damp and faintly rancid, and he was fairly certain people occasionally relieved themselves in the stairwells. It smelled horrible, but what can he do? Tony had a spot that he preferred parking in every night. It was a corner space on the third floor. It was out of the way and far enough where nobody would bother his car or ding it by accident. That night, he parked as usual, switched off the engine, and just stepped out when a soft female voice called out right next to his ear. Sam. Sam. Tony froze. He wasn't Sam. His name was Tony, so who was around this late at night calling him Sam? He glanced around but saw no one. Dismissing it as fatigue from a long day of work, he shook his head and rubbed his ears. The voice was gone. As he was walking to the elevator to exit the parking garage, his phone rang, making him jump. It was just a few friends seeing if he wanted to go out for Yugioh, a late-night meal. Since he had the next day off, he agreed. He turned around and hopped back in his car, planning to drive to meet up with his friends. That's when he noticed a sudden chill swept over him. The inside of the car felt like a refrigerator. He started the car up and began driving slowly. As he rounded a corner, his peripheral vision caught something. At the very spot where he was just parked, a woman in a long red dress was standing in the shadows by one of the cement pillars, watching him as he drove away. He didn't slow down to get a better look, but he just kept looking back at her in the rearview mirror. He didn't see anyone standing there before. Where did she come from? What was she doing there? Why was she watching him like that? Tony met up with his friends, and as they were all sharing a meal together, he told them what he saw in the parking lot. Most of them dismissed it and joked about it, saying, "Whoa, you have a secret admirer, Tony. Tell me, was she hot?" But one friend grew serious and told him not to park there again. Tony didn't ask why, but he thought that it wouldn't hurt to listen and took the advice. The next night, after coming home from playing badminton with the same group of friends, the first 2 floors of the parking lot were all taken, forcing him back to the 3rd floor. The lot was nearly packed tonight, and the only available space was the spot right next to his usual one, by the concrete pillar. He said he wouldn't park here again, but he had no other choice. Every other spot was taken. And also, it wasn't the exact same spot, just really close to it. He began reversing into it. After backing in and parking the car nice and straight inside the designated spot, he stepped out of the car. His heart sank. Somehow, he ended up right in the exact spot he had always parked in. Tony just stood there, confused. How in the world is this possible? He's 100% sure he was parking in a different spot, next to his usual spot, as he was backing into it. But now that he's outside, he's back in the usual spot. He decided that something wasn't right. He got back in his car again, deciding that he was just going to try to find a different spot. When he switched on his headlights, there she was again. The same woman he saw yesterday, in the red dress. Long hair hiding her face, her form faintly transparent. She stood directly in front of the windshield and spoke, but her voice sounded as if she was whispering right into his ear, even though she was outside the car. "Sam, you don't remember me?" Panicked, Tony stammered in his head that she had the wrong person. So now you don't know me? I died because of you, and now you don't even know who I am? I want you to come with me. His throat tightened, literally. He felt invisible hands squeezing his neck, breath draining from his lungs. Then, suddenly, another voice, male and calm, broke through. Miss Chu, debts from a past life should be settled in the past. Let it go. The pressure around Tony's neck slowly eased up and vanished. When Tony looked up again, she was gone. A man stood outside his car in a security guard outfit. Tony assumed he was the security guard for this parking lot. He calmly leaned in closer to Tony, who now rolled down the window. "Are you okay, sir?" he asked. Tony sat there, still dazed, catching his breath still. As he slowly nodded to the guard admitted he'd seen the woman too, and that Tony was actually